Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BC, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, what's my brethren out there in Tampa, Florida? Shout out to Tampa, Florida. And speaking of Tampa, Florida, St. Petersburg area to be specific, Keith One Time Thurman recently came out and made some statements on fight hype, and honestly, they're not a good look. They're not a good look for your boy Keith Thurman. Now, I mean, Keith Thurman. I still like Keith Thurman. Like he's a tremendous fighter. Like honestly, there's no way around it. He's a tremendous fighter. But over the years, like the more he's climbed up the ranks, the less I begin to like him because for one, just the injuries. Like I saw a video on the Boxing Voice where he said like, "Am I getting injured on purpose?" Like who doesn't want a 7-figure payday? Like it's not that, but like it's been the injuries. It's been the constant talking. It's been the inactivity. Inactivity really bothers me with fighters, and I know there's a lot of factors that can go into inactivity, but with Keith, he made some statements recently, and they asked him about an Errol Spence fight, and his response was less than encouraging as a boxing fan because Keith Thurman, man, versus Errol Spence. That's a fight that I want to see next year, man. Late next year. That's when it should happen. And he said that he's not in a rush. He's not in a rush. It's not on his list. He doesn't got to do it immediately. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, okay, I know you got the layoff. Like, you've had an injury. Like, okay, you're going to get a tune-up in. But my thing is like, okay, you got to make a mandatory defense next year. And you're going to want a tune-up. So my thing is like, I know this goes completely against Al Heyman and PBC logic, but he should be fighting 3 times next year. Keith Thurman should fight 3 times next year. He should be fighting. He should have his tune-up fight early on, January, February, which I know he probably won't, but he should have it January, February. Then he should have a mandatory defense in the summertime around June or July, and then you close out the year with the big Errol Spence fight in like November, December, something like that. That's how it should be done, but he's not saying that. He's saying, oh, we gotta wait till 2019 to watch him fight Errol Spence. Come on, bro. If you guys can't see this for what it is a blatant duck by Keith Thurman. It's a blatant duck. Like he's ducking Errol Spence, and I hate to say this because I like Keith Thurman, but homeboy's ducking Errol Spence. And honestly, I've been saying this for about a year. If he ever fights Errol Spence, he's gonna get destroyed by Errol Spence. Errol Spence will walk right through him. He'll have some success boxing because he has good boxing skills. But eventually, Errol Spence will chop that body. He'll cut the distance. He'll cut the ring off. And Keith Thurman's going to fall down. And he's going to be ran right through. Just like Luis Carlos hit him with the body shot. Same thing with Errol Spence. Errol Spence will hit him with the body shot. And he's going to fall right up. So he don't want no parts of Errol Spence. He didn't want no parts of Errol Spence when Errol Spence was 15-0. When Errol Spence was 15-0 like 2 or 3 years ago, calling him out as a prospect, being a 15-0 prospect, Keith didn't want no parts of him. When Errol Spence was a contender, beating the likes of Algeria, he didn't want no parts of Errol Spence. Now Errol Spence beat Kell Brook. He himself is now a world champion. It's an opportunity for Keith Thurman to be in a unification fight, and he still wants no part of Errol Spence. He don't want no smoke with Errol Spence. I don't know if you guys can see this. So that's just how I see it, man. Like if you've and this is my opinion, like if you've had as much inactivity as Keith Thurman has had over the last 2 years, I believe he's only had about 2 fights in the last 2 years. So because he had the Garcia fight this year, he had the Porter fight last year, and I believe that's it. Unless I'm forgetting some random fight he had. But when you've had that lack of inactivity, I feel like you should be pushing for more fights, more activity. So he should be trying to knock the tune-up out early in the year, then do the mandatory, then go for the gusto and get the big fight later on in the year. But saying you're gonna wait till 2019 is big. If you would have said early 2019, I would have said fine. But he's okay. 2019. That could be anything. That could be June 2019. That could be late 2019. So pretty much, judging by how Keith Thurman usually is, his fights are never usually early in the year. His last, the Porter fight, I believe, was in June of 2016, and the Garcia fight was in March of this year. So, you're looking at like at the latest, just judging by his history, at the earliest, March of 2019, just going off what he says, because that's traditionally when his fights happen these days. So disappointing stuff from Keith Thurman, man. I was I was a huge Keith Thurman fan when he was coming up, when he was beating up the likes of Carras and Diego Chavez. I thought this guy was gonna be the face of boxing. I thought he had the chance to be that, but it's just like any other fighter, man. You get a little money, you get a world title, and you don't want to go for the gusto. You don't want to do what you don't have that same hunger. And I get it, but it's just disappointing because I really thought Keith Thurman was different. And stylistically, I always thought Errol Spence was a bad matchup for him. And I stick to what I said last summer in 2016. If Errol Spence fights him, and when he fights him, he will destroy him. So that's just my opinion. You guys have yours, I have mine. I want you guys to give me your opinions in the comments down below. Do you think Keith Thurman is running from Errol Spence, or do you think that he has a legitimate claim, like that he has to actually go through this process of taking a tune-up, taking a mandatory, and that he can't fight more than twice in a year because, he's just, it's just too much. It's too much to ask for Keith Thurman, a guy who only fought 2 times in the last 2 years, to fight 3 times next year, when I think it's something that he should do. And I think that's not a crazy thing to ask. Tune up early, the mandatory late, title fight. I'm saying? Tune up early, mandatory in the middle of the year, title fight like that. That to me, that's not asking a lot when you're a guy as talented, as smart, as tactical, as just we have his skill level. That's not a that I don't believe that's a tough ask, especially with the activity, the inactivity he's had, and all the time away from boxing he's had. So let me know what you guys think, man. Errol Spence, is he being dumped by Keith Thurman? Because the way I see it, whenever Keith talked about him at the different stages of Errol's career, when he was a prospect, he dismissed him. When he was a contender, he dismissed him. And now when Errol Spence is a world champion, he's still in a different way dismissing him. So that's just my opinion. Leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. Follow True School Sports on Instagram at True School Sports. And like I always say in every video, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.